I had always loved exploring the nearby woods, even though my parents warned me not to go near them after sunset. They told stories of a faceless witch who had roamed those parts long before we settled here, cursing everything she came across with her hideous presence. But they were just old tales meant to keep kids from wandering off, right? What kind of harm could come from venturing into the depths of the forest? As I walked deeper into the trees, the air grew colder and a thick fog descended upon the ground. My flashlight beam barely illuminated the gnarled roots of the towering oaks around me, casting eerie shadows that seemed to dance along the trunks. Suddenly, I heard rustling coming from a few feet away, but saw no sign of movement in the dense undergrowth. That's when I felt the cold breath on the back of my neck, carrying with it a stench worse than death itself. Turning around, my heart leapt into my throat as I beheld something that should have remained hidden in the annals of history. Before me stood a hooded figure shrouded in shadow, revealing nothing but gaping eye holes that burned into my soul. As if reading my mind, the creature stepped forward, tearing off the veil that obscured its grotesque features. And there, where its face should have been, lay a chasm of raw meat, tendons, and gnashing teeth. The witch's visage had melted away over time, leaving behind a sickening mass of rage, pain, and hunger. Her eyes met mine with a fierce intensity that threatened to consume both body and soul. Who disturbs my slumber? The voice, cracked and hoarse, sounded like twigs snapping underfoot. Come closer, child, trembling. And unable to speak, I obeyed, taking hesitant steps towards the abomination before me. With each move, the creature cackled, a sound like 100 babies crying out in agony. I tried to run, but found myself rooted to the spot, paralyzed by fear beyond reason. She reached up, fingers ending in sharp claws hooking into my skin as she pulled me close. Inhaling deep, she savored the pungent smell of my living flesh. I was now at the center of a circle formed by glowing sigils etched onto the stone floor. Each symbol was pulsing with an otherworldly energy that caused my very essence to tremble. Before I could react or utter a single word, the witch spoke again. By entering my lair, thou hast offered thyself in tribute. Open thy veins willingly, or suffer the consequence of having your blood taken unwillingly. I couldn't move. Frozen solid as the world around me spiraled into madness. My vision blurring, I watched helplessly as the witch extended a finger towards me. It transformed into a razor-sharp blade and then sliced open her own hand, releasing drops of crimson that hit the symbols below us. My body jolted as my own blood mixed with hers, and I felt our souls merge together inside the circle. Something writhed beneath my skin, trying desperately to escape as my life force flowed into the magic binding us. Agony, unlike anything I could ever imagine, rippled throughout every cell of my being, threatening to break me apart from within. Suddenly, the ritual concluded. The symbols vanished, extinguishing themselves with flickers of emerald flames, revealing the chamber's true size. A new power surged through my limbs, fueling my muscles with unnatural strength and focus. My senses expanded exponentially, allowing me to perceive the entire forest as clearly as my own palm. But most disturbing of all was the newfound understanding of the witch's malevolence infused within my consciousness. Without warning, the atmosphere shifted, turning violent with chaos, magic erupting everywhere. Ensnarled vines crawled up the walls, enclosing us within a tangled prison constructed from nature itself. Whatever bound us needed to be maintained, it seemed. Beneath me, leaves crunched and branches snapped. I didn't need to look down to know that the source of this noise would be impossible to comprehend or rationalize. As my head fell back, I screamed silently within, witnessing countless versions of the faceless witch dancing in orgiastic ecstasy among the trees. Mile upon mile, century upon century stretched out in front of them, promising infinite torment for those unfortunate enough to cross my riot ways. This realization sent waves of revulsion crashing against my psyche, threatening to drown me in their depravity. The ritual's completion triggered further consequences. Strange whispers began to circulate between the trees, carried on the wind like autumn leaves. They whispered secrets once thought lost to antiquity, tales of curses so heinous that even the bravest hunters wouldn't dare venture near these woods. Their words became a storm, building to a crescendo that shook the very earth beneath us. Then, without warning, they stopped. Complete silence engulfed the area, broken only by the faint creaking of the surrounding forest. Sweating profusely, I peered into the gloomy darkness above the treetops and caught sight of what appeared to be celestial constellations forming strange patterns, unlike any I knew. These glowing configurations coalesced into intricate symbols, painting the sky with arcane significance. Panic set in as I realized I might not leave this place alive, let alone unchanged. Was this the price of admission for breaking the barrier between worlds? Did the universe require a sacrifice such as myself to uphold some cosmic equilibrium? A sudden rustling echoed through the clearing, snatching my attention towards the nearby brook. To my horror, I noticed the water running black and murky, seemingly boiling instead of flowing naturally. And yet, amidst the dark waters, swam something large and indistinct. Its movement stirred the corrupted stream, sending out concentric circles that spread across the brook until they collided with the shore. From the depths arose a monstrous entity, part serpent, part fish, part man. A tentacle lashed out, reaching for me, and I sprang backward involuntarily. Though I couldn't articulate why, I knew that whatever emanated from the depths of that tainted pool represented another aspect of the ritual I just endured. Despite my predicament, a sense of clarity descended upon me as well. Somehow, the knowledge of this otherworldly terror resonated within me. Perhaps the ceremony had altered more than myself. The sheer presence of the monster awakened ancient memories, stored deep within my mind, but they were beyond reach, forever denied to me. As if sensing my confusion, the witch chuckled softly before speaking in a voice both melodious and cruel. "Thou hast been chosen to serve as guardian now, bound to protect the wild magic we have spawned here tonight." I attempted to gather my thoughts and speak coherently, but my mouth refused to form coherent words. The witch laughed at my expense before continuing. Fear not. Soon thou shalt remember everything thou dost need." She gestured to the symbolized ritual site, which still hummed with dark energy. "But first, we must ensure that none disturbs our work here. Thou hast been imbued with the ability to defend this sacred space. Use it well." Closing my eyes, I focused on the magic coursing through my body, trying to discern its purpose and limits. At last, my scattered consciousness settled, and I understood the full extent of my transformation. I now possessed a power born of sinister union, an unshakable tie to the twisted energies permeating this land. The creature pulled back slightly, watching intently as I braced myself for whatever lay ahead. With each passing moment, I grew more accustomed to the change brought about by the spell casting. My instincts took hold, guiding me toward an unknown destiny, intertwined with the witch's own machinations. Despite the constant reminders of my entwined essences, fear clung to me, refusing to relent. The monster leaned closer once more, pressing me firmly against the tree trunk with its bulk. In response to some unspoken command, it released my arm while keeping its gaze locked onto mine. We remained there, suspended in time as if waiting for the next step to fall into place. And then, as abruptly as it had started, the commotion died away, leaving nothing but oppressive silence. Tension hung heavy in the air, amplifying the anticipation of events to come. Soon after, the eerie quiet as the witch slowly approached, her crimson-streaked eyes fixed on my transformed state. As she drew close, I felt both intimidated and compelled by her presence, bound to fulfill the role fate has ordained for me. She spoke lowly, the words carrying a sense of finality. "It begins." Without looking back, she vanished into the dense foliage surrounding the glade. Now, standing in these ruins, I recognize the journey that lies ahead, marked by strife and the eternal vigilance required of those tasked with maintaining balance in a world saturated by evil. All who would disturb this sanctuary shall face the wrath of one who walks the path between light and shadow, honor-bound to protect the forbidden arts, no matter the cost. This is the burden borne by those touched by the darkness of creation itself. Embrace your true nature, child, and know that yours is a duty shared by few, feared by many, and coveted by all. For just $3 a month, you can have your name featured in my YouTube videos and descriptions. Not only will you be supporting my channel, but you'll also be immortalized in the credits of my content. If you're looking for something a bit more personalized, consider becoming a $25 a month patron. I'll voice your stories and bring them to life on my channel. Create a special drawing just for you, or even write a unique story tailored to your interests. So don't hesitate. Join my patron community today and help me keep the spooky stories coming. And remember, together we can save each other from the YouTube algorithm. Thank you for your support.